I drugged my substitute teacher with 300 micrograms of LSD 25. She was the teacher that everybody hated and sometimes would ditch class just to avoid her. For now, we'll just refer to her as Ms. H. She made everybody's school year into a living hell, so I decided that I would give her a living hell of her own. This was junior year. I had access to a full vial of LSD, with approximately 150 mcg each drop. Ms. H came to school 30 minutes early every morning and always placed her coffee cup at the same spot on her desk. I hung out in the hallway and scoped the area out until I noticed she left the room, and I made my way in quickly putting 2 drops into her coffee and got out without anybody seeing a thing. I didn't have this teacher till the second period, which was about 1 hour from then. I remember having a small anxiety attack and leaving my first period class saying I needed to go to the bathroom when I was actually hiding the vial in my truck. I was nervous as shit through the rest of the first period, and when I got to the second period it was all pins and needles. Surprisingly, everything in the class started out pretty normal, with the teacher giving us her daily rant about how disrespectful our generation is. Then as she went on to teach the lesson, she started to get really sweaty and kept losing her train of thought and began to slur her words. I was sweating bullets at this point. Her completion had completely changed and she excused herself from class to go to the nurse. I'll never forget looking her in her eyes as she was leaving and seeing the size of her pupils. They were saucers. Everybody went on to their next period normally. It overall wasn't that bad, and some of the feelings of guilt were starting to go away until we all heard blood-curdling screams coming from the main office. It was Ms. H screaming frantically and having a meltdown in front of everyone in the school. She seemed genuinely afraid for her life, and it made me feel awful. People were able to calm her down only for short periods of time, and then she would start freaking out again, asking Jesus to help her. I remember seeing an ambulance parked outside the school and wondering if there was any way that this could all come back to me, but to my knowledge LSD is extremely hard to find in a person's system. When I was 11, I cut my finger in the art class and didn't tell anyone. So yeah, we were working with glass, and I decided since all the tools were being used, I would use my own fingers to cut the glass. Well, I cut my finger and started bleeding profusely. I stuck my hand in my pocket and asked to use the restroom. I was able to wrap my finger up in a ton of toilet paper to minimize the bleeding. Thankfully my hoodie was black. When I got back, I noticed I had gotten blood all down the hall and in the art room. My teacher asked everyone who was bleeding, and I didn't say anything. I went home and the cut was pretty deep. I didn't tell my parents cause I was afraid to go to the ER. Cut my finger in art class and got blood all over my school hallway and in the bathroom and never told anyone, and no one ever found out it was me. I stole over $1,000 from the church offering and never got caught. This is probably the worst thing I've ever done in my life. And I've never told anyone, not even my siblings or parents. When I was a teenager I used to volunteer at the church that I went to, and I was really good friends with the lady who was in charge of counting the money from the offering. And from time to time I would sneakily slip a few $10 or $20 bills into my pocket without her seeing, and I kept this going for over a year. The worst part is I would take it and spend it on stupid stuff like candy or video games. I never felt guilty about it at the time because I thought these people were basically just handing out free money, and I thought it was strange that this lady trusted a stupid irresponsible teenager to help her count the money offering. But if I had to guess, in total I probably stole around $1,000 from people who were just trying to give money earnestly, and I was keeping it for my own gain. So yeah, I'm a terrible person. My third grade lie about seeing someone steal a student's personal property. In third grade I had this unhealthy habit of lying about dumb things, whether it was for attention or being bored. I have no idea why I did this. I eventually grew out of it, but one of my lie stories occurred when I heard something about a girl in my class who had a very special keychain to her was missing. Somehow I decided this is a perfect opportunity to lie, which resulted in me telling the girl and a series of teachers I saw a boy with a black hoodie on take her keychain. Now thinking back, it didn't sound convincing and no one probably believed me, but I still look back at it and wonder why I did it. A week later the girl found her keychain on the field, which she probably lost during the gym. I felt so guilty for lying about something so dumb, but it really stuck with me. Even years and years later. There are so many more guilts I have from elementary school, like this one, that really just bothers me way too much. I prank called a school pretending to be a student's grandparent. When I was in the 7th grade, me and a friend were bored during lunch one day. He thought I'd be funny if we prank called someone from my contact list. He picked one of my friends from a different school and called her number, but she didn't pick up. My friend said, "Hey, what if we called her school and pretended to be her grandparents and say that we're picking her up early from school?" At the moment I thought it would be funny, so I went along with it and called the school's office and talked to the secretary and said that we were gonna pick up our grandchild. The school ended up calling her parents, and her parents were extremely worried and rushed home from work halfway through the day to make sure someone wasn't kidnapping their daughter. I went home and texted my friend and asked if she got called to the office and told that someone was going to pick her up early from school. She said yeah, and I said, "Well, that was me, lol, wasn't it funny?" And she replied with, "You scared the living shit out me. How could you do that and then block me off everything?" The next day my school called me and my friend down to the office to talk about what happened. Apparently, the other school tracked down our location from the phone call and told the principal to have a chat with the kids who did the prank call. My parents never found it since it was the first time I'd been in trouble for something in school and was my first and last warning. I never told anyone, but I felt like shit for the longest time and lost one of my closest friends at the time. Moral of the story: don't prank call a school. It may seem funny, but it's not funny when you are hurting someone else in the process. I once threw a rock on someone's head and I don't know what happened to him. When I was around 8, I was in an alleyway with a mate and we were doing stupid shit, just throwing shit in people's gardens, starting with litter and then stones, and then we found rocks. When it was my turn, I threw a rock over a wall and hurt someone, shouts in agony. It was a builder doing some work there. My mate ran to his house and left me. I forgot which door was his in the alley. So me trying to get in a locked one thinking it was his was grabbed by the other builder and angry at me obviously. I live in a rough part of England, so I thought I was gonna get stabbed or something. So shitting myself I tried to escape but failed, but he told me his head is bleeding and I found the house and he told my mate's mum. Basically, I just wanna know if he is alright. I am now 19 and still feel guilty for what I did. Jay was old enough to know it was wrong, but I did it for a laugh.